Hello and welcome to Café New Canadians. This is a virtual event series for the newcomer community in Canada. COVID-19 has created a lot of disruption for us in the business and professional world. We're all feeling a sense of a loss, a sense of fear and uncertainty regarding our future. And while we cannot imagine how our world is going to be shaped by this pandemic, what we can do is make something out of this time. And which is why at Café New Canadians, it is our endeavor to help you tide over this time. In the past few weeks and in the upcoming weeks, we have been hosting a number of industry experts to teach you how to network, how to go through your job search, how to upgrade your skills, how to grow your business, and so much more. Now, today, the topic we're going to be decoding is the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit, or CERB, and associated taxes for small businesses during COVID-19. Café New Canadians is brought to you by New Canadians, which is a television and web-based series for newcomers in Canada. We bring you trusted resources and information on employment, settlement, education, and so much more. You can watch us on Omni Television if you are in Canada. We're also on YouTube. Our website is newcanadians.tv, and across our many social media platforms, you can follow our latest updates and our exclusive informational content. We're also present on Telegram, our latest presence there. All right, I'm your host for the evening, Vasudha Sharma, and finally, I'm so pleased to welcome CPA Subhash Sharma. He is principal at Bronte Bay CPA Professional Corporation, and he specializes in accounting and taxes for small to mid-sized companies. Subhash, thank you so much for joining us. Such a pleasure. And how are you doing?
Thank you very much, Vasudha. Thanks for inviting and thanks for this opportunity.
Okay, so through my conversation with Subhash today, you can post your questions to us live, and he'll answer them to the best of his ability live as you post them. Anything about CERB and taxes during COVID-19. You can post your questions on Zoom, and we're also being live streamed on YouTube where you can submit your questions. So keep those questions coming in, and Subhash will be here to take them up. Okay, so let's begin. Subhash, before I want to kickstart by giving our viewers an overview of what CERB is. Can you just take us through what it means?
So thank you very much, Vasudha. Thank you, Gerard, for this opportunity. So I know this is crazy time, this strange time. We never thought we'll be facing this kind of situation where we don't really know what is happening. We don't know what to be scared of. We don't even know what we don't know. So it's a very, very strange time. I have never seen in my, I think, almost 60 years on this earth. This is something totally new, totally unprecedented. Everybody says the same word. I think it's over repeated. But anyway, so I'll try my best to give you some perspective on what the government is doing. Everybody is scared. Everybody is concerned. We all are, including myself. So we don't know how far our money will last. If at all we have something, so or whatever we are getting, how can we manage our expenses within that? So we all have the same concern. So this is one great equalizer, as they call it. So rich and poor, and whichever country you come from or live in, everybody is affected. So this is one thing which I've seen. Like we have seen wars, we have seen diseases in the past, but nothing like this. Like this is something totally new. Pandemics we have seen. There was SARS 10 years back here. A lot of people died, but it wasn't like this. This is something totally new, something totally different. So to address the concerns, the fears, the government at least is trying. It's not perfect what they're doing, so they could be doing more. We all agree. They're doing quite a bit. They can do more. They can simplify the process. Unfortunately, that's the way government works. They introduce a program which is mostly complicated, usually complicated, but at least they're trying their best to do it. So I will address the CERB. I'll also address the CESB, which is a new program for the students, and also some grants for the students. I know there are some attendees who are in that situation. So they have concerns like, because they can't work during summer jobs, how will they pay their bills? How will they pay their tuition? So I'll address that. And then if there's any employers in the group, I can address the wage subsidy, and there are some other programs for the employers. which I can address. So that is pretty much what I'll be doing today.
Okay, so let's run through, let's decode what CERB is, Canada Emergency Response Benefit, who qualifies for it, and what does it involve? How do you access those benefits, and what really are those benefits?
Exactly. So that's what I'll be talking about. So I'll share my screen with you. So I have about 18 or 19 slides. Some of them which I'll skip. They're too intensive, but I'll address the few which are actually useful for the group here.
Okay.
All right, so I'll share my screen if it is okay with you.
Go ahead, yeah.
All right.
We also have questions coming in already from our viewers, so ready.
So when you have questions, maybe you can save them for the last, so then I can go to the chat, and then maybe you can read one at a time.
Please go ahead.
Time being that, like, normally I do this kind of presentations and they're usually 2 to 3 hours long. And that is when you can take questions as they come, because questions take longer time, right, to explain. But now we have only 1 hour, so we have to condense the whole
Let's
thing.
try to pack it all in.
Pack it, condense it, and make it worthwhile for everybody. All right, so economic response by the government to the pandemic. So and my screen is stuck. As usual, the technology. All right, the agenda today is, so I'll be talking about CERB. I'll be talking about CESB, which is the student benefit, and then other help for the students and youth. And then there are the wage subsidies for the employers, which I'll be talking about. And then working capital loans or cash flow issues for the employers. If you have any business people or people who are thinking of starting business, so I can talk about those. And then there are some other measures, important ones, which the government is trying to implement. Now, taxes is a very big subject. I wish I could cover those, but that is a huge, intensive subject. So I'll leave it for part 2 of my presentation. So some other day, some other week, if you want to come back, we'll talk about those. All right, so the CERB, which is the most common, most useful program the government has implemented. So first they started with very limited scope, that if you have stopped working, but then they fine-tuned, they improved it. They have been trying to listen from a lot of different groups. So now it is a little bit better. So they are saying that they will give $2,000 per month for 4 months. And this is starting on 15th of March. So it's already started. 1 month is already over. So this is the second tranche which people can apply now. And the only condition here, or other 2 conditions here, are that one is that you should be affected by COVID-19. So this looks like no brainer that, okay, everybody is affected by COVID, but this is basically for people who had employment income. So people who had employment income and they were working, and either employed or self-employed, and they had at least $5,000 income to show, right? So if they're working part-time, so they give this little bit leniency. First, they said you must stop working, so which was very, very strict, because even if you have $1 of income in the month, they said no, you don't qualify. But then they modified that to say that, okay, if you're working part-time but making less than $1,000 a month, $1,000 in 14-day period, then you can qualify for $2,000 a month, which is quite a big relief for a lot of people, actually millions of people who are in this category, that they do work, but they don't work enough. They get some hours, but not enough hours. Or if they're self-employed, they have one check coming from here and one coming from there, but not enough to sustain. So then the government says, okay, we'll give you $2,000 to supplement your income, what you have. So this is a self-certification program, which means that you don't need a doctor's certificate, you don't need any attestation or any other certification. So you go to the CRA website or on the phone and you can apply. You are just basically saying that I have been not working or working less because of COVID-19, and I had $5,000 income. See, these are the 2 main questions. So payment is very quick. Actually, I have seen this payment actually come within 3 days. That is the promise they made, that we will be paying within 3 business days if you have direct deposit set up. And if you don't have it set up, I would suggest that you set up direct deposit first, and then apply, because the payments come really, really quickly. And you have to apply every month. So it's not that once you apply, you'll get for all 4 months. So you have to apply each month. And basically you have to certify that you are still in the same situation. All right, so few requirements they have. Minimum, you should be 15 years old, which means if you have a child 14 years old, that child cannot claim. So child has to be at least old enough to say that I was actually working and reside in Canada. This also looks like no-brainer, but then there are people who are actually traveling or gone outside the country, so they don't qualify here. Or some people who are actually living abroad and not here in Canada, so they don't qualify. So that's what it means. Had minimum of $5,000 of earned income. So a lot of people don't qualify for this little glitch here. So $5,000 of earned income. And earned income means employment income. It means self-employment income, freelancers, contractor, whatever you, whichever form you earn your income, but it has to be earned income. It could be maternity or paternity benefits. So if you're on EI benefits, that also qualifies toward this $5,000 earned income. So first they said 2019, but then they gave a little bit leeway by saying last 12 months, which means if you had $5,000 income in January, February, March of this year, still you can qualify for this program. So they're trying to bring more and more people into this umbrella where people can actually benefit. Now, a lot of people said that it should be universal basic income sort of thing, where you send this check of $2,000 to everybody, which actually sounds like a good idea. It would be less expensive for the government to monitor and manage, like just cut checks for $2,000 each and send it to everybody. But then if you think about it seriously, like for some people or a lot of people, $2,000 is a good, decent amount of money where you can actually meet your living expenses, at least food and basic necessities. But for a lot of other people, $2,000 mean nothing. Like $2,000 will be a waste of money for a person who is already making $1 million a year, right? So just waste this $8,000 over 4 months, which could be actually given to somebody who actually needs it. So that is why they're making it complicated, so that only people who actually deserve or actually need the money should get the money. So that is the idea behind this. Now, how do you apply? Application is really, really simple. I'm surprised how efficient the government is on this subject. So you go online. If you don't have my account, I suggest this is the time to set up my account. It's very easy to set up. After this presentation, I can send you a link which you can share with everybody. So you go on CRA website, click my account, click register, and it asks you a few questions from your last tax return. Very, very easy to set up. Now, if you're first time filer, probably not. It's not that easy. And the second way is to call this number 1-800-959-2019, which is the automated line. Again, I'm told, I have not used it myself, but I'm told it's really, really easy. All automated, no person interaction. You just provide the income information from your last tax return and you're already applied. So it takes, I think, 2 to 3 minutes actually to apply for this program. Very, very quick, very efficient.
So the process of applying is simple, but a lot of people are complaining online that it's confusing to understand whether they fit the bill. So who qualifies for this?
Yes, so that is what I am trying to explain here. Like if you qualify, and these are the few things, like you have to be fitting within this criteria of $5,000 earned income. So if you had $5,000 of earned income either in 2019 or within last 12 months, so these are the two main requirements. So within these two requirements, if you qualify within that, and the second criteria would be that you don't have over $1,000 income in the last 14 days or $1,000 in the coming 14 days. So either way, 14 days, you don't have $1,000 income. So let's say you have $500 income or $900 income, you qualify. Whereas if you have $1,050 income, you don't qualify. So it's like black and white sort of thing. Now that is the problem with rule-based things also. Like this is actually a problem when you set up so many rules, right? If you say if you are hurt, we will help you, that is one way of saying it. But if you say if you are hurt so much, then we'll help you, that becomes a rule-based thing. Like 5,000, okay. What if you have $4,990 income, so you don't qualify?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that they're falling through the cracks because there are so many strict guidelines, but it's not as black and white.
So that is the problem with the rules-based criteria, and they are trying to set up rule-based criteria and a lot of people are falling in the from the cracks, and that is what they're trying to fix. And when they fix, they create some more problems with that. So that is the problem with the rule-based things, right? So applying itself is very easy as long as you understand these few requirements. So there are not a lot of rules around this one. You'll be surprised how many rules are there around the wage subsidy if you were to apply for that. So this is the easiest program I have seen actually in my time. So again, direct deposit is also very easy to set up. If you don't have direct deposit set up, this is the time to set up. So first you set up my account, and within my account, you can set up the direct deposit. Very, very easy to set up. And the payment comes directly to your bank. It is set up for life, so you don't have to do it again and again. As long as you don't change your bank, the account stays with you. So always, like your GST credits, your Ontario tourism benefit, your child tax benefit, your tax refunds, and these benefits, they all come to the same account. So it's very easy to set up. I recommend always, like everybody should have it, but this is the time to have it, because if you rely on the mail, they are saying the check will take 10 days time. And also, like, how can you rely on Canada Post in these times? Like if they drop somewhere or the mail never arrives, then you're in trouble, right? So this is the time to first set up my account, set up direct deposit, and then apply for this program. So when to apply, again, they try to make it a little bit, so not to overwhelm the system that everybody apply on the same day. So they just divided it into four days, like Monday, if you're born between January, February, March, Tuesday is April to June, Wednesday is July to September, and Thursday is October to December bonds. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they kept open for everybody. So, which is, I think, a good way of dealing with overwhelming the system. And this is going to overwhelm because every month everybody has to apply, right? So people who applied last month have to apply again now. So that means millions of people will come to the same system or the same phone lines and apply through the system. So that's why they're dividing it into 5 categories or 4 main categories, and then leaving 3 days where anybody can come and apply. All right, so are these benefits taxable? So a lot of people ask, like, what will happen? Yeah, I get this money, but am I going to pay tax? And yes, of course, you will pay tax. This is just like any other income you would have earned while working. So this, you're not working and still getting paid by the government. So they will send you a T4 or a T4A. They haven't told which one, but they will definitely send a slip at the end of the year. And you'll have to pay tax on this one. So $8,000 will be added to your other income, whatever income you have during the calendar year, and you'll be paying tax on that based on your marginal tax rate. So, and a lot of people have questions that, yeah, so you apply for CERB and you get this $2,000 check, and then suddenly you get a call and you start to work again and you make $1,500. So what happens in that situation? And the government has already thought about it, and they have already made a button within CERB portal where you can actually apply and pay it back. But the paying back is not online. So paying back happens either if you receive the government check, you can send it back by mail, or you can write your check and send it to your tax center. So if you're in Toronto, for example, send it to Sudbury, but you can mail your check and return the money back. No questions asked, like why you applied, why you didn't apply. I don't expect a lot of inquiries in this program, but yeah, government has the right to come back and ask you all this question, like, did you, like, if it is obvious, for example, if you had no employment or self-employment income, the government already knows it. The government already knows it. If you are a retiree, for example, government already knows that you don't have never had any employment income, never worked, and you claim this $2,000, right? So you realize later, so they say, okay, that's fine. So you made a mistake, honest mistake, just give the money back. So that's about it.
Subhash, speaking of my account, Akanksha Agrawal, one of our viewers, has a question for us. She says, can you set up my account if you have never worked before, never filed taxes before? If you can't set up one online, how do you proceed for this benefit?
Unfortunately, you're stuck because one of my clients had that same situation. So that, and right now is the perfect time because you still have the option of filing 2019 tax return. So you file 2019 tax return online, and within a few minutes, you'll be able to set up my account. But you have to file at least one return.
Yeah. And when you were talking about that income threshold, you should have earned that $5,000 within the last 12 months. Another viewer has a question. Can income be rental, bank interest, or dividend income? And does it have to have been earned in Canada?
No, it has to be earned income. It could be salary, it could be self-employment income, freelancer, contractor. It could be earned anywhere in the world. Worldwide income is okay, but it has to be earned income. So rent does not qualify, interest, dividend don't qualify. The only dividend which qualifies from your own company, the small business, the company which pays lesser tax with small business deduction. So if you have a company, you are the shareholder, you get dividends out of it, that dividend qualifies for this one, for the $5,000. So that is a little hidden thing they have not told anywhere, but within the questions and answers in CRA portal, they have this listed there. So yes, dividend only from your own company, but the dividends from companies, from banks, they don't qualify for this. So
Okay.
rental income for sure does not qualify. Old age security, CPP don't qualify for this. All right, so who is not covered? So these are the few people who are not covered. So retirees, like if all your income is pension income, so that could be $50,000, $100,000 income, but that doesn't qualify. If you have only investment income, which is interest, dividend, rental, don't qualify. If you had no earned income in the last 12 months, 2019, no income, last 12 months, no earned income. So you don't qualify for this. And you're working part-time, but you made just little over 1,000, you don't qualify. This is the unfortunate part. And again, when they're making rule, this is what happens. So whatever number they put, there will be some people on the other side of this equation, right? Let's say they put $1,500. So there'll be some people who made $1,505, for example. So they will not qualify. So that is the problem, universal problem with the rule-based approach when you have it. Or you're new to the country, so you just landed a few weeks back or a few months back here. You never worked here, never had a job. So then you are in a tight situation here. So for this one, they are saying that wait for more announcement. Every day Prime Minister comes on the TV and makes some new announcement, and then everybody is trying to figure out how to make it work, how to make more and more people qualify for some kind of benefits. If not for this benefit, some other benefit. They are coming. They're trying to fine tune this program a little bit more.
For newly landed immigrants?
Sorry?
For newly landed immigrants.
Newly landed immigrants, and for other people who are falling from the cracks. Yeah, there are a lot of people who don't qualify for some or the other reasons.
Because a lot of these people have been living on their savings, and they were looking forward to the summer months for a pickup in the job search. But now they've been.
Absolutely. So there are people who are retirees and they have this interest income. Now interest has fallen down drastically, so they're not making enough money.
So right now they're not covered under CERB.
They are not, absolutely not.
Okay.
So that's very, very clear. So this is black and white rules. So if they qualify, they qualify. They don't qualify, they don't qualify. So if they take this money, 2,000 will come to them because it's self-certification. But then if CRA comes back and want to check, and they will be it will be very easy for CRA to check, because when you file your tax return, you're declaring your income by different lines: employment income, self-employment income, interest income, dividend income. So it's all defined in the tax return. Like if you look at your tax return, page number 2, so you have very detailed description of the income which you have. So the computers can match it. So CRA doesn't have to appoint any officers for that. All they have to do is algorithms. They can very easily see who didn't have $5,000 income and still claimed this money. So it's very easy for them to find out. So I would suggest not to apply. If you applied, got it, there's a way to return. So it's better to return this money. All right, so wait for more announcements. I'm sure they will be coming up with something more for sure. So I'm very hopeful because they have good intentions. So that is the difference. So when people have good intentions, they're trying their best to make it work. I hope they will come up with something which satisfies most people. All right, so this is one big group which was falling off the cracks, like new people, students, people who just landed, the international students. That's one big group who are in the country, didn't make $5,000 last year, so they don't fall within that CERB program. So they have been thinking about that. So only Wednesday, Prime Minister announced this program, CESB, Canada Emergency Student Benefit. It is still not there on the CRA website. It is hidden somewhere, like people like me can find out like where it is, but it's not still openly available to everybody. So it's still in the legislation stage. It's still in the parliament stage. It is going to be debated. So the government is proposing $1,250 per month for 4 months, and $1,750 if you have some disability or if you have dependents. So a lot of people will qualify for 1,750. Most people will qualify for 1,250. But the opposition parties and the business groups and everybody is saying that why not 2,000? So what is the difference between a person like a student, for example, and a person who like has family and all the expenses? So rent is
Especially
rent.
since these students are going to be using these summer months to actually get a summer job.
Right. So this is what they're saying. So this is basically to help them. If they're not getting summer jobs, they're helping them from May to August. So this is a little bit different from the CERB, but that starts in March. This starts in May 1st and goes up to August 31st, 4 months. So they will have enough money, or like at least some money, to pay for their tuition. So this is what they're trying to cover. But there is a lot of pushback on this program to make it $2,000, and I hope they agree on this. So once finally passed legislation, because when there is a minority government, so there's always like parties fighting, and end result could be actually better than this, and that's what I'm hoping. So this is what happened actually with the CERB. This is what happened with the wage subsidies. So the programs actually got better, because when the opposition say, oh, why not this, why not that, and you're not doing this enough, when they're in opposition, they can say that. So they actually left the whole program to make it a little bit better. So again, this is for 4 months, May 1st, starting May 1st. So it's not started yet. So within next few weeks, they're going to announce all the details, how to apply. This will be applied through CRA, probably through the same portal, My Account portal, but this will be a separate portal called CESB. But again, you should be set up for My Account for direct deposit. So those two things are requirement. You must be set up on that, and then wait for the announcements. Watch for the announcements. They all come on TV, on the internet. Okay. You can find them very easy. This is going to be a good program, which will cover a lot of actually people who are not qualifying for the CERB.
Right.
Then they are coming up with this new program called Canada Student Service Grant, and this is what they're giving some kind of initiative. So they're creating a national service initiative run by the federal government, and they're saying that if you work on the front lines, if you're a young person willing to go out and work on the front lines, we'll give you $5,000 grant towards your educational cost in the fall, right? So this is in addition to the CESB. So the requirement here is that you are going to work in the fields, for example, food sector, or wherever there is a need, which could be called front lines. It could be hospital,
right,
home, senior home, or whatever.
Before we deep dive into this grant, a question has come in for the CESB. One person wants to know, are international students eligible, included in the CESB?
I'm hoping so. They have not specifically said, but because they have not excluded international students, my hope is that they will be included. But we don't have the details yet. So when the details come, they always have some rules there. So then we have to see who is excluded. If not excluded, then they are there. So as long as they are on legal work permit here, the idea is that they had work permit. They were supposed to be working 20 hours and paying for their educational expenses or some living expenses. So because they are not being able to work, so the government is supporting them. So I have no reason to doubt that like they will exclude them. So they should be covered. So this is a grant program. So they will give up to $5,000 toward the education costs, which will help students to pay for their tuition fee and living expenses when they're studying. Again, the more details are coming. And also they are going to announce this thing on I Want to Help platform. So this is a new platform they're creating. Federal government is creating this platform called I Want to Help platform, on which they will be putting various opportunities where people can actually volunteer, provide services, which can be called like Radiant Experience for the newcomers. So that could be a very useful kind of tool. So you asked about international students. So they are also removing these restrictions. So international students have this restriction that you cannot work more than 20 hours per week. So for the next 4 months, actually 4 months, yeah, April, May, June, July, August, 4 months, they're temporarily trying to remove this 20 hours clause from there. So again, this is new. This hasn't been announced. Like it has been announced, but not finalized yet. The only requirement is that you should be working in the essential services, healthcare, critical infrastructure, food, or supply of critical goods. So if you are working in these sectors, you can work over 20 hours and still be okay with your student permit. Again, details are coming, so it's not there yet. We have to wait and watch. So student financial assistance. So financial assistance is your student loans. So they are enhancing the student loan program, making it $350 per week. And they're also trying to change the criteria so more and more students can qualify within the program, and also doubling the grants. So from 3,000, they're going to 6,000 for full-time students. And for part-time students, they're going up to $3,600. And again, details are still to come, so we have to wait for those things. So a lot of things are like wait for announcements, because it is evolving and evolving so fast. Every day there is a new announcement, and it is actually quite hard to keep up with the changes and with the. And I'm sure you're seeing the same thing. So what is this I want to help platform? So this is a new platform where they are trying to encourage the students and youth to go and volunteer. And if you're volunteering and if you're providing services, they're putting opportunities on that platform. And in addition to those, they will also be announcing through the same platform, they will be announcing Canada Summer Job Program, like details about that, youth employment skills strategy, student work placement program. So they're putting a lot of money, like hundreds of millions of dollars into these programs, which are going to benefit the students.
And I see there's a point about Canadians, newcomers earning Canadian experience. And, last week we had a hugely popular session with a career coach about that whole question of gaining Canadian experience. And please tell us more about this.
So this is what you should be looking at. So like everybody who comes to Canada, me included, when I came, I say, okay, like I have this like valuable experience according to me, but when you come to Canada, your experience is worth less. So that is a common problem with everybody, whoever comes to a new country. That would be the same within a country, like within India or wherever you come from. That would be a common problem there also. Like when you move from one country or one city to other or one state to another, your experience is not counted as much. Right? It's different. So same thing happened to me also. So there's nothing surprising there. So when you come from a different country, you think that you know everything, but you actually don't know much. That you realize when you are here for like next 5 years, 10 years, then you realize that, yeah, there was a lot of things which I didn't know at that point. And then you say, now I know. So that is called Canadian experience. And this is a way to get the Canadian experience. A lot of people have this question, like, how do I get Canadian experience if I don't work, right? So you will not be able to get a job, like a paying job, but then there are a lot of volunteer opportunities. And believe it or not, it's very difficult to get volunteer opportunities also, like especially in a city like Toronto, it's very hard to get volunteer opportunities also. But here they are making one platform. We are going to put a lot of opportunities where people can go and find the suitable opportunities, and also spending a lot of money through the service organizations in training the people, training the volunteers, like how to present, how to dress, kind of things. And I'm sure you are in this sector, so you know more than me in that space.
Soft skills.
Yeah. So I do a little bit of mentoring also. So I've been involved with some groups in the past. But this is a common problem. This is a genuine problem. It's a common problem. People with a lot of experience, a lot of like good credentials, designations, credentials, degrees, they come here and they are totally lost here when they land here. Like I have a doctor actually who came from Saudi Arabia. He was very senior cancer specialist in the top hospital in Riyadh. And this guy is now here, I think 4 or 5 years now. and still he is in this struggle period where he's doing the internship, and so start from the internship. So very, very difficult for people who were senior in their life, and then they have to start from scratch and
Yeah.
make it work. But it is worth it. Like it's not wasted. So that's what I want to say here. So this is a good way for the newcomers to gain Canadian experience.
Subhash, can you also now quickly run us through the whole business aspect of CERB, how small businesses benefit from this? Because a lot of newcomers become contractors, they're working part-time, so they open their sole proprietorship. What happens for them? How can they access these
So
benefits?
CERB, they qualify. So as long as they are not making $1,000, which is challenging. Like if you are running a business not making $1,000, that's not a good thing. So it's not a business. So, but if you're in an unfortunate situation, for example, you had a retail store or something and you had to close it down, your store is shut down for like nothing which is in your control, then you can apply for $2,000 and get it. And also they are coming up with some rent relief programs. Again, that is, I didn't mention it here. They are working on that platform also. And what they will do is to finance the landlords so that the landlords can give rent relief to the tenants for the commercial.
Right.
That's not for residential rent, it's for the commercial rent.
Okay.
All right, so do you think we have audience for the Canada wage subsidy, emergency wage subsidy for employers? It's a very complex.
I think we should focus on the small business and the self-employed aspect of it now. We also actually have questions coming in regarding that. There is one YouTube viewer who says that, could you please share what kind of businesses qualify for CERB and what are the trade-offs of using this benefit?
So all businesses qualify as long as they're legitimate businesses. The freelancers, the shopkeepers, the restaurateurs, any business you name it will qualify if you have lost income. So that's the only requirement. So your income is not more than $1,000 in the last 14 days or the coming 14 days period, and you had $5,000 of earned income in the last 12 months or in 2019. So as long as you fit within those few criteria, you could be in any business. So they haven't specified or they haven't excluded any business from that.
Right. So we can skip wage subsidy and then move on.
Okay, so let me skip the wage subsidy, but I'll briefly say about this temporary wage subsidy for employers. So this could apply for example, for small business also. So if you have only one employee, for example, and still you can get 10% wage subsidy. That's for 3 months, starting on March 18, going up to June 19th, and anybody can get it. So if you have any employee, you can get it. So again, I'll not talk much about this. And between a company, like if you applied for temporary wage subsidy 10% and you can still qualify for 75%, you can still get the 75%, 75 being the maximum. All right, so this is a benefit which even a small business can get. The only requirement here is that you should have a payroll in 2019, and that payroll should be at least $20,000. So even if you paid yourself $20,000 or to your spouse or to your children $20,000 through the payroll, then you qualify. Again, a lot of people don't qualify for this program because a lot of people don't do the payroll. So they just sole proprietors, for example, they don't do the payroll. All their income is their own income. So it comes to their hands and they're free to use it. So they don't do the payroll. So they are excluded from this program. It's a beautiful program in the sense that they give you $40,000 loan. Again, very easy to apply through the banks. And $10,000 of that is forgivable as long as you pay back $30,000 before December 31st, 2022. So almost 2.5 years, little more than that. So $40,000 no interest loan to cover your, this is basically to cover your expense. Like if you're paying rent and your store is closed. So they are saying that, okay, take some loan, not interest-free loan, which you can pay back by December 31st, 2022. And if you pay back $30,000, you don't have to pay back the rest 10,000, which will convert into a grant, which will be taxable, of course. and there's no
Yep.
minimum payment required. So that is the beauty of it. So no minimum payment required, no interest up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So a few other things which people could be interested is, one is the income tax filing deadline. Everybody by now knows it is now June 1st. But if you are expecting, like the situation you mentioned, that this person is new to the country, never filed it, so that person should file very, very quickly. As soon as you file, you become eligible to set up your My account, direct deposit, and apply for CERB.
So does your first point on this slide answer this viewer question? Could you please share what is the impact to tax filing timelines for the financial year 2019? Has the government deferred the timeline for both individuals and small businesses?
Yes. So the small business, if you mean the sole proprietor, so people with sole proprietor, like even one spouse has,
Or
sole
even incorporated, maybe a husband, wife incorporated together.
Incorporated is totally separate, because corporation is a separate entity. But if you have a sole proprietor business, which is reported in your personal tax return in a form called 2125, then your deadline is June 15, automatically June 15. So there was no extension, and that was not required, because they're extending for everybody else to June 1. So for the sole proprietors, or at least one sole proprietor in the family, like between husband and wife, then your deadline is automatically June 15. And the payment deadline is extended to September 1st, and that is for everybody. So sole proprietors, employees, everybody is September 1st. So if you're in business and if you have to pay HST, payment deadline is extended to June 30th. Your payment filing date is not extended, but what they said is that we are not going to charge you penalty. So if you file late, they will not charge you penalty for that. So another good thing what they did is, like, the first thing they did when they started this program is they basically laid off a lot of people in CRA. Like in Sudbury office, they say like there's hardly any 20-30% people actually working. They laid off all the auditors, collection people, appeals people. So they are all home. So nobody's actually working in CRA. So they stopped the audit program, they stopped the collections, they stopped calling people, they stopped the appeals. Everything is now deferred indefinitely. They didn't even mention when they're going to start it. Not a definitive date. They're saying that, yeah, when it ends August 31st or something, but not a definitive date that we will come back and knock your doors. Nothing
So
like that.
as you take us through these measures, a newcomer viewer is actually asking a question related to this. How does a newcomer without a job file taxes for the first time? What documents are required? Is it a simple process? Can we file taxes online?
Yes, you can. So there are free software. If you go to Canada Revenue Agency website, they have actually listed free software. You can use free software to file your tax return, assuming you have no income whatsoever. You just landed on, let's say, December. When I came, actually, my own case, I came on December 22nd to this country, and I filed my first tax return and got some refund from the money, and that was very exciting. Because when you come to this country, you have no income, and you file your tax return, your husband, wife, and a child. For example, I had a daughter at that point, so I got some money back because they give you the GST credits. They give you child benefit, right? So I started to see money right away, which was very nice. Like you can call it a gesture, but actually money is money, so it was very useful also at that point. So the answer is yes, you can file. Very easy to file. Very simple process. Use a free software. You don't have to pay anybody for filing a tax return, especially if it is a nil return. Now the only problem is, like, if you have, and you should know these things, like if you have foreign assets over $100,000, so then you need help from your accountant or somebody who knows the job.
Subhash, a lot of these newcomers are coming in from other countries. They were probably working, not probably in the native country, but some other country, some other job. They're also bringing currency, which was now directly transferred to their bank accounts. How do they show that?
So bringing currency within the limits is not a problem. So you don't have to declare anything. If you have $1 million overseas, or 10 million or 100 million, that's not a problem. That's called your own capital. It's considered to be tax-paid money, like that's your own capital. So declaring the capital is not a problem. On the other hand, it is advisable, because if you declare your assets when you come to this country, those become that becomes your base capital, right? It's called ACB. adjusted cost base for your capital, for all your assets. Let's say you have real estate and stocks and bonds and cash and whatever, what have you, in back home. So you should declare it, right? And that's also a requirement. So if you have assets over $100,000, you must declare it. If you don't declare it, then you have two problems. One problem is that you pay penalty, which is $2,500 a year for not filing. And second problem is that if you want to bring that money at some point, then the government say you didn't have the money, you didn't declare it. Actually, when you're filing your tax return on page number 2, there is a little check mark which asks you this question: do you have assets over, I don't remember the exact language, but the substance is that if you have assets over $100,000, yes or no, and most people say no, they don't want to declare it. But now you have made a declaration. So you declared that I have no assets abroad. And 10 years later, you want to bring, let's say, $1 million, which you had in the past when you came here, right? And you, at that point, you say, oh, by the way, I made a mistake. They say, no, 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 no. You must have earned this money somewhere. So you have to pay tax on that, right? So you must declare all your assets. So there's a form called 1135 in which you make all the declaration: cash, stocks, bonds, real estate, and make proper declaration. So there is no tax.
Speaking of not making mistakes and not landing in trouble, Gertrude on YouTube asks, since it is self-certification, what happens if someone applies for the CERB, knowing that they are eligible, but later find that they were ineligible because of the $5,000 earned income restriction?
So that is why they have given this option to pay it back. So they said you can just send a check back, write a letter to they haven't created a form for that, and you can't even return online. But they have given this option to send the check back to CRA, to the tax center, with a letter that I made a mistake. And there'll be no penalty for that. All right, so other things they did is that payroll deductions. So if somebody is employing employees, so payroll deductions must be paid in time. So there is no extension for that. So there is no September or there's no June for that. Payroll deductions is considered to be money in trust. Like when you deduct CPP and EI from employees, that must be remitted in time. So not doing it means a lot of penalty for that. And they are increasing the Canada Child Benefit for this year. I think they're doubling it. Whatever you're getting will be doubled. And they're giving one-time GST credit payment. I think you'll see it in September. So I think it's $600 or something. I don't remember offhand. So that will be a one-time GST credit payment on top of whatever GST credits you're getting monthly. This will be a one-time payment. And this is basically to make a little bit convenient, comfortable for people, and just giving some money in the economy, basically, in the circulation. So they are working with the banks so that the banks can waive the mortgage payments. So some banks, so it's bank to bank, individual bank relationships you have. So some banks are saying we will waive the interest. Sorry, not waive the interest, my mistake. Defer the interest. And some banks are saying that we will defer the principal and interest both. And the difference between waiving and deferral, probably everybody knows. Deferral means that they will keep accruing the interest on top of the principal, and at some point you will pay. So when this whole programs restarts, like after 6 months, so it's a 6-month deferral. After that point, your now principal has gone up. So your loan, your mortgage amount has gone up. So you'll be paying a little bit more on monthly basis, and your mortgage will last longer. So you'll be paying a little bit more at the end. But it's a good thing at this point. Like, how do you live with this $2,000 or whatever small amount you're making? How do you live at this point? How do you pass this 3 month, 6 month period, which is bad for everybody? You're not going out, you can't work. A lot of people are not being able to work. So this is one way, like you can defer your mortgage. You can talk to you can talk to the city for property taxes to defer. You can talk to the utilities to defer. You can talk to your insurance companies to defer the amounts, like whatever. So wherever you can defer, you should be deferring. Like, not that they will be waiving it, but they will defer it.
Another question is coming from YouTube. What benefit, if any, is available for people who neither qualify for CERB nor for CESB, and they were students prior to COVID-19, but they haven't found a job yet? So wait for the announcement?
Yeah, so yeah, they didn't make $5,000 So I'm assuming they did not make any money in January, February, and also March. So they did not make any money. So they do not qualify for CERB. So if they are student, they may qualify in CESB. But if even that does not apply, then they have to wait and watch if the government comes up with something new, which they are saying that, yeah, we are working, we are looking into it,
Right.
but not making any promises. So students, they have deferred the student loan repayments also, even though that's a
Mhm.
small amount, but even every dollar counts at this time. So if you are
Right.
repaying $200, for example, a month, that $200 is also deferred to September 30th. So you can defer a lot of things. Like you can make a budget, make a list of all your expenses, especially the fixed expenses which are going every month from your account, and see which one you can defer. Right. So
Mhm.
that is the way to see through this time that
Yeah.
everything is. Yeah.
Now, as we come to the last 15 minutes of this chat, why don't you dispel some of the myths around this program, this financial assistance program, and what are the riders? It's not free money, of course.
It is not actually free money. It is all our money. So basically, we all pay into the tax system. It is an honor-based system. So we all pay into the system, and in bad times, same as the EI. So this CERB is basically extension of EI system. So EI system is delivered by Service Canada, which is one department of Government of Canada, and CERB is delivered by CRA. And right now they are both systems are open, so you can actually apply through Service Canada or you can apply through CRA. And even if you apply through EI, they are actually delivering through the CERB system, not to duplicate, not to confuse. Even if you apply, so applications are open in EI system, but the delivery is through the CERB. So if you were getting more than 2,000, for example, you are getting $2,200, you'll still get $2,200, but it will flow through the CRA system so that there's no duplication in that effort. Now, it's not free money. It is all tax based, basically. Everybody pays into the system, and same as EI. So everybody, all employees pay into the system. And then when you're laid off for whatever reason, the system pays you, right? So same as CERB, everybody pays in the tax system. And in the bad times, the government supports, and the good times come, then we pay more, right? So at
Yeah.
some point, we are looking the government with a lot of deficit, like $100 billion deficit or $200 billion deficit. So they are going to increase the taxes from 2021
Mhm.
or 22. So that's what you should be looking at.
That's how it works.
Individually speaking, like what do I get as an individual? This is what it is. At least
Hmm.
get this money if you qualify. Get this money. Now
Yeah.
another thing they are saying is that like they have given actually quite a bit of flexibility, which people are not realizing much. That either you did not make money in the last 14 days, you qualify, or you're not going to make money in the next 14 days. Like let's say you made money yesterday, right? But you're not going to make next 14 days, you're not going to do anything, no money coming to you. You can still apply for this. So that brings a
We
lot of people in this bracket.
we discussed volunteering opportunities. A question has come in. As a newcomer, can I volunteer and get a grant that I can use later towards tuition? Should I choose to go to a school later on?
That is a personal choice. This semester obviously is already out or going to be out soon. So you're looking at joining in September. So that is when the new semester starts. So if you make some money or if you get these grants and yeah, use this money to go to school. That's the whole idea of the CESB which they are coming up with, and also the grants. So they are coming up with CESB, which is the student benefit, and also this $5,000 grant if you volunteer. So if you get both of those, I think that will cover your 1 year tuition. So that's the whole idea behind this program. So here I listed few business opportunities, like business oriented people in this group, if you're listening. So there is so much demand, like it's unimaginable. Some companies actually are doing so good at this time. If you are in the health and hygiene products business, or if you can pivot to that business, like if you're doing something else, but you can change your business model and produce something like that, like health and hygiene products, cleaning supplies, face mask, gowns, gloves, ventilator, of course, like very big thing, but hospital equipment, even the small equipment, even the like cleaning equipment and stuff. There is so much demand, and both Ontario government and Canada government are looking for that. So, and I put this, I'll send you these slides, and I put this links here, covid-19.ontario.ca, that is for Ontario, and buyandsell.gc.ca is the federal government. So you can go there and you can see the opportunities listed there. And the process here is actually quite straightforward. So if you can supply these things, you list yourself and you participate in the tender. And if you have the right product, they will buy from you. So there's a lot of opportunity in this space if you can meet these requirements. So I think that is pretty much it for the moment. So unless you have questions, I can be here for a few more minutes.
Today, especially in Toronto, Vancouver, and across Canada, we see a lot of hustle culture, especially in the tech and the creative spaces. I mean, unless you're a banker, lawyer, a CPA, or a doctor, a lot of people have day jobs and also have a second job, which is their hustle. Many may have lost their day jobs and they're getting patchy work, part-time work. How do they fit in with CERB?
So that is called freelance work. So on top of your salary, if you are a salary, if you have any job which pays you some money, so that is called self-employment income. So in a normal time, in your tax return, you will have one line for employment income, like your T4 income. And there's a other line which is coming from 2125 form for business income. So any income which is not employment income would be like earned income, would be a business income. So whether it is freelance, whether you're an artist, a singer, or a creator, and it could be any kind of creation, and that would be called a business income.
And just recap this 1 hour insightful session for our newcomer viewership today. What is the big takeaway for them? And also tell us a bit about your background and your association at Bronte Bay.
Well, I'm like most of the people here listening to me. I'm a immigrant, not a new one, but I came about almost 30 years back. I was a businessman and became an accountant here in Canada. I went back to school basically, did my MBA, did my CMA, which became a CPA. So I had tough time like most people face here. So most of us face the similar kind of situations. I had tough times, so went to school. I had a daughter at that time. I had my wife and my daughter, had to bring the food to the table. So had tough time, struggled through it, almost 6 years in school, you can imagine. Did my studies, went into business, and here I am talking to you. So it is a beautiful country. It's not only beautiful, but very, very good country, like good at heart. And people are helping, government is helping, like you can see what is happening now. Like even though the system is not perfect, even though everybody is not fitting, but at least the intention is good. And I can see the way they deliver is really, really good. Like even though CRA is working less than 30%, but I can see the delivery of money coming within like 3 days. It's amazing kind of infrastructure they have. So systems are good. It's all honor-based system, and a lot of people like coming from countries where I come from, they are surprised when they see the system. Like people pay taxes honestly, and they are surprised by it. Like but when you see this kind of situation now, the government actually giving back, then they say, yeah, there is some fairness and equity built into the system, the trust built into the system, and you get used to.
They look out for you, which is why you should look out for them.
That is correct. So everybody basically looks out for everybody else, and we are all in this together. We'll definitely come out of it. It's only a matter of time. So why the government is saying 4 months is like that is what they're expecting. That within 4 months, they will have some kind of control or handle on this situation. The vaccine is at least a year away, but at least they will have some control over the situation.
Right.
And the economy will start to function slowly, if not full stream. So people will be working. If not, then they will be extending these programs for sure. And luckily for us, like government is in a very good financial situation, so they can afford to pay out the money. So which is a good thing. Like we are in good times. So stay healthy, stay safe.
Subhash,
And,
thank
best
you
of luck.
so much. We weren't just listening to an expert CPA, but also an immigrant success story. We were very pleased to have you. Thank you so much for answering all those questions. You were watching us on Café New Canadians. Subhash, thank you so much. And we were talking about decoding CERB and small business taxes during COVID-19. So you were watching us on Zoom and on YouTube. You will be able to watch a recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel. Please follow us across our social media platforms. We'll be featuring snippets from all of these insightful sessions that we've been hosting on careers, jobs, and everything across our social media channels. There's also Telegram, we're there. And subscribe to our newsletter. We come to you monthly with the best headlines, latest news around the immigration, newcomer space, education, employment, settlement, and so much more. You'll really find value in our newsletter there. That's it. You're watching Café New Canadians. Thank you for your time and join us again on our next edition, which is going to be about strategies and tips for international students affected by COVID-19. We'll be having best-selling author and speaker Boris Remis, Tuesday, April 28th. And as you pop out of Zoom, please fill in this survey to help us create new content in our upcoming webinars. Thank you. Bye-bye, Subhash.
Thank you so much, Vasudha. Thank you, Gerard.